And let's go ahead and open this one up, man. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for The Narrative. My name is Malcolm Yates.
I'm Andrew Nelson.
And listen, we are The Narrative, and we want to make sure you go ahead and sign up for our page, man. Click like, make sure you share it. We are going live.
Absolutely.
We need you guys' support because your support is what makes us keep going, man. And again, we get a lot of good feedback from you guys, and we love to hear from you. Right on the spot, and we're live today. So man, so Drew, man, what's been up, man? What you want to talk about today, bro?
Man, there's so much going on, man. The world, and especially since the last show, and then the fact that we live now, man, we gotta hit a little bit of what's going on in the popular culture.
Yeah,
I definitely want to talk about some Morant, talk about a little bit of that, right? There's so much going on in the political at every level.
I mean, the biggest political thing that we can talk about is just what happened on Tuesday, bro. I mean. It was a significant primary from, all over the state. You know what I'm saying? And all over the state, just starting with the city, Philadelphia. They got their first black female mayor. Right. I mean that's significant, big. Man. That's really significant. So let's go ahead and give a kudos and a shout out and a job well done to Mayor Sherelle Parker out of Philadelphia, being the 100th and the first female mayor of the city of Philadelphia, man. Kudos to you.
First female mayor, and she a sister.
And she a sister.
I love to see it.
And I know all the deltas out there is just going on fire.
Absolutely,
because
no doubt about it.
I couldn't get enough.
As they should,
as they should, because you're right.
Matter of fact, I go as far as to say that everybody in the Divine Nine should be on fire because that's huge.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely, man.
And I think we all need to get behind that and support that.
Yeah, and we do. We do. And, just because it's the primaries, we still got to show up for the general. Right. But now that there's a new movement, so we all got to get down.
Right. And I don't know Philly politics as well, right? So I know that they're largely Democratic dominated.
Absolutely.
Right. So what is it looking like for is it like here, like in Chester, where like if you win, and there's no opposer in a Republican, or is no?
I would say the Chester political scene is a mirror to the Philadelphia scene. Right. The Republican Party, unfortunately, or the minority party, is not necessarily a force in the city. So if you win your primary, you win the election. Right. Yeah. So it was a very, very contentious one. They had a great set of candidates, man, and she ended up, setting the stage and taking it down. So nice. Yeah. Right. And I call it the of region because, although we're in Chester City and that's Philadelphia, we feed off one another. And we all have the same type of economic, mapping and things like that. So, if you're from,
we were all victims of the FHA
exactly,
post World War II.
Exactly, man. Yeah. We just a little bit down 95, and a lot of us spend a lot of our time in Philly, and Philly spend a lot of our time in Chester. Right. So, the zip codes is different, but we still all the same, man. That's how I look at it.
Right. Absolutely, I agree with that 100%. Right. And I'm excited, man, because it's the future going forward.
Absolutely,
another good example. So that, I guess the other next thing I want to, we might as well show love to my home team.
Absolutely.
Right? Congratulations to all of the candidates that just won.
Absolutely, man. Congratulations to all of you guys. And you had a hard-fought election. Right. I always say this is my second home, man. Right. And I'm so glad to see folks
first cousins.
We first cousins, man.
Absolutely.
I get it all the time. They say, Malcolm, you ain't go to the high, but guess what?
Right.
I'm here though, and I'm doing the work, and I'm putting in the time, and
absolutely
because I like to represent and go for places that look like me. So I'm the class of '99. I went to Scotland school, but don't hold that against me. I'm still rocking with y'all here.
Right. And you're militant.
That's right. And I'm militant, and I'm pro-black.
Right. I love to see it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So my thing, go ahead.
No.
I was going to say, man, congratulations to all of the candidates, same as well. Stephen Roots for mayor, Tamika Gibson, Fred Green for council. Mm-hmm. So, and Shep Garner, I know he won for judge.
That's right,
in the, I don't know, I don't want to butcher the district.
Yeah.
But it was, I believe it was Judge Sheaton's old district, but then they also combined with, I think it was like Trainer and Marcus Hook or something
they added
like that.
Marcus Hook. They restructured, they redrew the lines or
Right.
something like that, and gave it out there. So
Right.
yeah,
So I think that's a big win, though.
That's huge,
right? Because
man.
that gives them a lot more jurisdiction.
Absolutely.
And then it's still, connected to the home team.
Absolutely, because
And then it's also an opportunity, right?
a big opportunity
To where we can mend our relationship, to where we can have a better working relationship with those other boroughs that border us.
and that's one thing that I champion, right?
Right.
We are people know I live in Marcus Hook, so I think I'm the only person most people know live in Marcus Hook, but I always think that we should try to connect and build that bridge between, let's say, the Chester suburb of,
Right.
It's not really a suburb, but the Chester suburbs and the city
Right.
itself, because a lot of times, again, we come into the city, we right outside the city. I mean, I live 5 minutes away.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things that happen politically, it ripples out to Marcus Hook and Trainer and Lower Chi, and we need your support, because there's a lot of us out there that needs the support from our folks from Chester, and for folks from Chester can get our support as well, because we come into the city and we patronize the city.
Absolutely. Right. So I see a lot of opportunities. And speaking of mending bridges, bringing it back. So I know it's a lot of factions throughout the city, right? Like a lot of cliques, a lot of groups.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of people that are very excited about the changes that are coming, and it's a lot of people that are very angry about the changes that are coming, right?
Angry and scared.
And what I really want to say to all of our people is, like, we family.
We
And
are
nobody wins when the family feuds.
Hey, that's the truth,
Right,
man.
like Big Brother Hove said. And I really want to pay close attention to what's going on around us in the world. We at a time where I think at the national level, we're facing threats to our civil rights that in our lifetime we've never had to deal with, right? We're seeing a large rise in xenophobia. I talked about this on plenty of shows. Just a few days ago, there was some kind of rally I think I remember seeing videos of in D.C.
On Mother's Day.
On Mother's Day, yeah.
The Klan.
The Klan, right. So we got to be mindful of this. While there are a lot of great changes occurring,
Yeah.
I don't want us to be asleep at the wheel fighting each other, right? And we at home, we got all of these things going on in the world. Everything around us is crumbling, and we got to make sure that home is good. Like, we got to really take care of the home. So I encourage everybody. I really pray that everybody hears me when I say that we gotta stop fighting. We gotta unite. Like our life literally depends on it.
Yeah.
Because the world is changing.
You're right.
And we gotta unite and get on one accord. And we need to embrace our new leadership and hold them accountable.
Yeah,
Right? That's the key. If we're not
absolutely.
happy about what's going on, we have mechanisms in place for accountability, and we gotta use them.
But holding accountable is one thing, but we also got to be really, really careful and not to self-sabotage.
Right, for
You
sure.
know, because
Agreed.
a lot of times, because that's not what you wanted or who you like, or you may not agree, we tend to get in the way of what we need as far as progress. We get in the way of what could be something that's needed to move forward.
Right.
And you can't necessarily take that next step if you got someone keep pulling you back,
Right.
just
Agreed.
because of their emotions, or they can't get over it. And what we have to understand is we have to start thinking as a collective unit. We got to start looking at the big picture,
Right.
and we got to start looking strategically,
Right.
and not stay in our feelings and not self-sabotage.
Right.
Because if you don't allow our new leadership to work,
Right.
then we're only going to look like we used to, or there
Right.
won't be any change.
Right.
So then you can't say, well, we changed it and
Right.
nothing changed.
Right, and the change got to be within us too.
That's what I'm saying,
Right.
yeah.
So now that we got, because people wanted younger people in City Hall,
We got it.
we got it. Right now, we always had Will Morgan. He's young,
Yeah, he's young.
but we got, so it's not like we lost as a young people. We didn't lose a seat.
Yeah,
right?
shout out to the homie
and
Will,
then
man.
shout out to Tamika Gibson.
Shout out to Kid
Right.
Tamika, absolutely.
Right. So now she got great new ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Right. She comes with a lot of great energy, and she been commenting. Thank you.
A lot of leadership,
Right.
a lot of fresh
A lot of leadership. So like that's fresh
Hey,
new
cousin
ideas.
Meek, what's up? I see
Right.
you on there. What's up, girl?
Right. And thank you for joining us.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we got to get behind that, right? We got to move with that momentum,
Yeah.
get it going good,
Yeah.
right? Support everybody. The mayor-elect Roots, right?
Yep.
Same deal.
Yep.
Happy or not about how things turned out, we got to set that aside and we got to refocus on the big picture.
That's right.
Right? He is now, unless there's a Republican independent write-in or something like that, that gets challenged, which is
unless
doesn't seem likely,
some magical
right?
mayor shows
something
up,
like that, then this
next.
is who's going to be in, and we got to get behind him and support him because our community needs it.
You
right?
got to give him a try.
We have to.
You have
right?
to, because
very similar to what Dave Chappelle said when Trump got elected.
Yeah,
get a man. He said, listen, whether you like it or not,
you got to give him a try.
Give him a try.
Yeah.
We owe it to our community to give it a try because we got to remember that we a community.
But what we do, because if you don't, then we have 4 years of idle. 4 years of sitting still.
Right.
Like, and it goes back to, like, you know, when Barack got in and the House wasn't his and the Senate wasn't his, and we wondering why nothing change, because we took our foot off the pedal. We said we got a president. We never voted in the midterms, and now nothing gets accomplished.
Right.
Now, guess what? Now we're taking that 30,000 foot view, and now we're scaling it all the way down locally. Right.
Right.
Now, whereas he has some counsel that's on his team is there,
right.
But guess what? We still need administrative. We still need talent. We still need workforce. We still need the citizens. We still need the constituents, and we need the entire city to fall behind, because politics is local. And if the local folks don't get on board, then we're just marching in mud.
Right. And we need the working professionals, man. We got you bruise past that, or is that a word? Breeze past it.
Yeah, breeze past it.
So. But that was so important. Mm-hmm. Like, we really need our working professional class to come and fill some of these jobs.
Absolutely.
Because the administration, any administration, is only going to be as good as the talent that's driving it. Absolutely. Right? That's the life force, right?
Absolutely.
So if we want to see better, we got to get involved.
We do.
Right? We got to use that. We all got brains. We all bosses. We all got these business ideas and these business ventures, and I think it's awesome.
That's right.
But let's utilize it for more than just
self-gain. We got to stop operating in these silos, bro. I always say, let's not recreate the wheel. Right. Let's add better rubber to the tire.
Absolutely.
So if you have something and you have something, and we already have this wheel rolling, let's take that Michelin off, and now we can make it a Pirelli. Right. And so now we rolling. And we
low
got
profile.
Some low pros, some never flats.
Right.
But the problem is that we like to do things in silos, and then get upset when we don't get the help, or no one notice it, or you don't have the the resources. Right. But you got to start pulling stuff in. We got to really start doing some more collective, teaming up. You know what I mean?
And there's so much amazing things going on in the city. Yeah. Right. So that, I think that could be another thing that we could have for the new council and the new mayor. And we didn't congratulate the school board. Man.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. New school board members.
New school board members.
That's congratulations to them. Absolutely.
So, and I think I'm really excited about the fact that there was so much involvement in the race, right? Like all of the candidates participated in the election process at a higher rate than what I've really ever seen. Absolutely, locally,
absolutely.
Right?
And that's what I meant.
So
by
I think that was pretty cool.
Man, I was really proud of the city for actually participating, stepping up, and being active.
I even seen a lot of comments of people just throughout the city commenting on, like, just the peanut gallery, Yeah. But they commenting on local matters, and it really did my heart good, because it's like, now it shows me, like, people are like, all right, we paying attention to all of the politics now. So I love to see it. I love to see it, because if you don't control your politics, man, them politics gonna control you.
Say, if you don't do politics, politics will do you.
It sure will.
And you starting to see that. And if you don't get involved, you'll find yourself involved somewhere or the other. I'm trying to tell you.
And so I don't have dates locked on yet, but putting it out here early first, I'm looking to put together a seminar where we basically teaching civics 101, if you will.
That would be great.
Right? Do like a 4-part seminar for basic introduction, and then another 4-part for like political strategy.
Oh man!
Right, where we gather in a group and talk about it, teach the strategy, because we lack that, right?
We need,
and it's
strategy.
okay.
We need strategy.
It's all right.
Yeah.
So but we ain't gonna get it unless we start creating a pipeline.
We do,
right? Just like you start seeing these pipelines pop up everywhere for sports, and then you see the sports improve.
Absolutely.
Right. That's the same exact concept that we're gonna have to do with civics, right?
Absolutely.
It's not getting taught at the public school level for the obvious reason, but that's okay. We could supplement it, because we got brothers like you, like me,
that's right,
like Uncle P,
that's right,
plenty of other people that understand this. A lot of sisters in the world that are willing to come out. So we're gonna be putting together this seminar. I will release the dates and more information once it's completely put together, and we're gonna start talking about these conversations and having more of them, because I feel like it's very important.
Because we do need that, and in all seriousness too, man. When you start talking about strategy, you look at a new era of things, right? With this new leadership, and shout out to what was done and the history that was made and the things that was created by the prior administration. But as the page turns, you're going to start noticing there's going to be a lot of gaps, right? Yes. You're going to notice that there's going to be a lot of things that's necessarily needed to be filled. So we're going to have to start coming together to strategize how to fill those gaps and what day 2 looks like. You know what I mean? Because we're going to keep living, right? We're going to keep coming to work. We're going to keep waking up. So we got to figure out what the next day is going to look like as we continue to move the city forward, regardless of what direction it goes in as far as the bankruptcy goes or if it doesn't or not. We have to really sit down at a table, and we need a collective group of leaders, brainstormers, people who have forward thinking on how to strategize both options.
Absolutely.
We can't be reactive. We got to be proactive on this. And if you have time, you have talent, and even if you're no longer in the city and if you can still hear our voice and you from city, or if you love Chester, bring yourself back home. Bring yourself back here. Get connected with myself. Get connected with Andrew. Connected with P. Get connected with anybody. Tamika Gibson. Get connected with Fred Green. Get connected to anybody in the city that you know who is now on the next page moving forward. And let's start to talk about what day 2 looks like. Man.
Absolutely. Because my people, if we don't, we're going to lose our city. And we already are in the process of losing our what do you call it? Rights. Simply put, across America, right? Human rights are being infringed upon, right? As regulation rolls back, right? And there's not legislation in place to protect it at the state level, right? Which is the way it's supposed to work.
Absolutely.
Because I could wrap my mind around the concept on how it's like, hey, this shouldn't be a federal issue. This should be a state issue. But where I think we go wrong strategically is we don't have enough affect on state legislation, right?
You're right, because we don't. The affect is what the F around, and then the effect is to find out.
Right.
I thought that was the best meme in the world, dog. Like, because if I had that in school in English, I would have definitely passed it.
Right.
Because the affect is the F around, and then the effect is you found out.
And you know what? For too many generations, we've been sticking with the finding out.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And right now, we just need to start fucking around with it.
We got
you know
to,
what I mean?
man.
We got to.
And that's where I'm going with it. Like, we got to be proactive for the effect.
We have to.
Because then you're going to sit back and be all angry, and you're going to sit back and you're going to be dejected, and then you're going to find out because you effed around and stayed home.
Right. But that's where we're going to come in, where this is going to be good, right? Because we're not just presenting problems, we coming with solutions. Right? So we're going to. The seminar is coming. We got the call to action to the people. If you professionals and you like you said, and you love the city, you care about the city, you want to see the city thrive, we need talent to come home and help assist in all of these roles that we got going on.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man.
It's the only way we're going to be able to move forward.
Yeah, we can't keep holding on to old buckets of water.
Right.
You know, the milk is spilt if it didn't come out your way. You know, now we just got to clean it up, man. Like what the Jay-Z line was, crop me a river, build a bridge, and get over it.
Right.
Like now, the crying, the water is there now. Now we got to build this bridge. And now it's time to move on.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. And we got to stop the fighting, man. We got to come from love.
Always.
We all, and for real, we show so much love. It's just when we go away and we not locked in long enough, right? Our personal emotions start convincing us otherwise, and then we go out with this perspective that there's so much negativity, but it's not.
No.
It's so much positivity and love that go on in the city. We just got to stop that little small dividedness that we got going on.
Yeah, you're so right.
And it be overstuffed that in the grand scheme of things, it don't matter.
It'd be so minuscule, man.
Right.
It things that's really inconsequential and insignificant, man. You know.
Right.
So you're right.
Because really, we all we got.
All we got is us.
And if you look at the geography, we're literally all we got.
That's all we got.
Right?
We got to do it, man.
Chester got to come together. Chester and Philly got to come together.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And we got to start making noise for matters and issues that matter to us.
Yes.
But specifically at the state level.
That's right.
Because as federal protections roll backwards, it's up to the will of the people to roll forward state protections.
That's right.
Right? But it's not going to happen if we don't understand political strategy.
And we do, and we retain the House. Congratulations to Heather Boyd out of Upper Darby. Right. She kept that special election, so now we're still at 102 to 101.
Right.
State Representative Joanna McClinton is still our Speaker of the House.
Right.
So now we really have opportunities when we have the State House and the governor, right?
And congratulations, Heather.
Yeah. So we have to start really diving into these state legislations, man. We really got the opportunity now. If people don't know, the Delco demographic or the Delco delegation is, I want to say, like 98% Democrat, right? Mm-hmm. We only have one Republican elected official that I know of statewide, and that's in Upper Chi. But he's one of those conservatives that work with the people. Right. And that's one thing I'll say. He does work. So now is our opportunity to be able to get in, talk about what we need for the city. You got someone who's looking to make some changes, and now we hold them accountable to make those changes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But we got to control our narrative.
That's right, man. Right. That's right, and that's what we're doing, is controlling this narrative. We want to create a narrative, and don't get me wrong. Like we Andrew and I, we're scoping and providing a narrative that we feel that's universal and that's applied to the city. That's best for our interests. Right. But we're not force feeding you a narrative that you don't agree with. Right. We're giving you something that, from the years of experiences that we have, from the rooms that we maneuver in, and then from the background that we come from, we understand how to, like I say, always maneuver through the mayonnaise, right? Right. And so we'll be able to provide you with a perspective that create a narrative that's best for our community. You know what I mean? And
basically based off of real life experience and what has worked in the past.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of my stuff I learned from just reading history.
You's a reading boy, though. I'll tell you that,
I
man.
love it, though.
I admire that. I got to get better at reading, man.
Yeah. So, I'm going to be honest, I wasn't always like this. Yeah. So when I was in the Marine Corps, I would read as much as I could, right? But I didn't really start focusing on developing the discipline of reading until I was probably in my 30s. And what really came of it was more or less, I was like, damn, you done spent all this time in school. You read for school, but you don't never read to learn what you want to learn.
You don't need to read for yourself.
Right? Like, you've been curious your whole life. So what it really came down to was, I think for a lot of years, I was too busy and too absorbed in what was going on that I didn't have the peace of mind it takes to sit down and read.
Word.
But at this point in my life, I got a lot more peace of mind, and I've come back to my real curious self, and that's really what drives me. I'm curious about all kind of stuff.
Because that kind of really goes back to what they're saying, like, when you get your paycheck, you should pay yourself first.
Yeah.
Like, when you read, you're paying yourself with knowledge.
Absolutely.
Man. And that's something that we all should adopt, and that's a good discipline to have, and I admire that, man. I'm trying to get there. I'll read like a chapter, and then I get my ADHD will kick in, and then I start to wander somewhere, man. Right. But I'm trying to focus in on that discipline as I'm getting a little older, man. That's what's up.
Right. And then so what helped me also, because I didn't start get the same thing. My mind wanders still sometimes, but meditation. Word. Meditation actually correlated with me getting better at being able to read.
That's where we're at.
Right.
That's where we're at.
So working on them together is really
meditation
what the
is necessary, man.
Right. And yeah, it is. And I think reading is a form of meditation.
Absolutely it is.
Because you're focusing on one thing.
That's right. And you're absorbing it, and even if it's for self-help or it's feeding your conscience or instilling a new discipline. I mean, it's definitely what you say is a meditation.
Form of meditation.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, absolutely.
So... Yeah. But I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
And I mean, if you want, I got a couple books to start out with that I think was amazing.
Honestly, bro, yeah. I think so.
And
I think also when we start talking about that seminar, man, you should start recommending books. I think we should add that part of the show. Yeah. Like what books we need to recommend, because I think us as a people, and specifically us as men, we should be disciplined in certain things and have knowledge on certain things, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because we are categorized as a leader. And you can't necessarily lead if you don't have the tools, the education, the just the wherewithal to lead. Because if you ever notice, your wife or your girlfriend or your mate, they be like, "Why do you know all this stuff?" Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they lean on us for that.
For sure.
So we got to continue to be able to provide that answer or have that wealth of knowledge, man. Because people look to us as that. And you can't just get that scrolling through Instagram.
Right, not at all.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
And so forever, it's so much misinformation going on right now. So I saw a video earlier today, and it didn't sit right in my spirit. It really like grieved me a little bit. I'm looking at it and I'm reading it. So it was about a hold on, because I'm gonna butcher the name. So let me pull it up on the internet real quick, because I was just reading it. It's called the Smith-Mundt Act, and I saw a video misconstruing what the Smith-Mundt Act is.
Wait, what's the Smith?
So the video, so basically the Smith-Mundt Act is basically it's giving government agencies permission to broadcast media to create like a narrative, right? So the idea behind that, it says, is it intended to give a more widespread view of what America is about and its values and its people and all of that, intended for foreign audiences. And it gets renewed ever so often. And the video basically alleged that President Obama undid the law and made it where it was legal for people to propagandize us, right? And then so it kind of, I'm like, what? So I read this video, and as soon as I hear it, I'm like, wait, why would anybody do that? And I start thinking, I'm like, something says, calm down, bro, right? So I get it in, and then it says, just go read the act, right? So I went and read the summary, and I had to read it a couple times because it's worded a little ridiculous. But what I've gleaned from it was that it didn't allow anything. It stopped the funding of it. Basically, it continues to stop the funding of programs that could fund propaganda, right? That shed stuff in a negative light, and it continues to allow, like, some information to be sent abroad. But I mean, that's part of messaging, right? Every country gonna do that. Now, if you think that there's other countries that don't do it and they just report everything, like, you're lying to yourself.
Yeah, you're
right?
fooling yourself.
But then, so the news has been privatized for profit since the 80s. And the long story short, whenever it's for profit, then there's no legislation that can, because the First Amendment protects the news. So long story short, as long as it's been for profit, which once they found out that when it's for profit and scaring people's sales, the ability to put propaganda in the news and in the media and all of that, it's been consistent. So I said all of this to say, like, once I was going to read the act and do a little bit of research, I was able to debunk it. But the video seems so well put together and real, but it's that's like, so just be careful what you see, man, because you can't learn as much as you think you can learn from Instagram.
Facts. And be careful what you see. Is that kind of rolls into, like, and I know we didn't talk about it, but AI, bro.
Right.
Yo.
All of the rapping, different rap, Biggie out here rapping, like, new songs and stuff.
Like,
and it sound good.
And it sounds sometimes a little bit better than that. So what do we do, right? I had a conversation earlier in the month, or earlier in the week, and they were talking about, how do we take advantage of AI? And the question around that was, it has to be some of the outside ripple effect of AI that we need to start to key in on, right? We got to learn how to, really kind of counteract some of the things or support it, because whether we ready for it or not, dog, it's coming. Man, it's not coming, it's here.
I think that you're spot on, right? And I'm wondering if, so I'm gonna take what you're saying, because I agree we need to be able to do both sides, but I think that's really you saying the foundation of what we as a people need to start doing, right? We got to start realizing, like, all right, there is a change coming, and how can we monetize off of this change? So I think taking your formation of your idea and growing on it, I'm gonna say that more so what I'm hearing you say is that we need to be in cybersecurity,
absolutely,
from an analysis perspective,
absolutely,
right? But we also need to be in programming, and we need to learn how to use AI to program for us.
That's right,
right, and help it increase our productivity tenfold,
absolutely,
right? Think of AI like the electronic version of slavery, right? We about to get a bunch of free, low-cost labor. And if you don't understand how to capitalize off of that free to low-cost labor, everybody else is going to become more productivity than you, and then we're going to have a larger economic gap, right?
Humongous, because guess what jobs are going to get taken first?
Right.
The jobs that's currently with those who may have, let's say, minimum wage, right? Those who jobs that doesn't require high skill, right? So a lot of times those are the jobs that sustain some of the community. Right now their job is lost because AI now does it.
Right.
So now what happens to these people?
We have to readjust.
You got to readjust.
Train in the new AI.
Happens, right. And it kind of takes me back to, I don't know if you remember the 2016 primaries for the president, and Andrew Yang was waving this flag of giving people payments due to
universal income
because of the technology, right? And he saw this coming because unfortunately the first thing people are going to do when AI gets pushed through is the companies are going to buy the technology, implement it in their organization to reduce overhead.
It's already happening.
Right.
There are humanless McDonald's now.
Workforce,
humanless
insurance,
joints.
Right.
Oh,
Medicaid,
sure,
Medicare. So I ain't got to pay none of that.
Bots. Right.
So now I can get rid of all these employees. I don't have to pay no insurance, and I'm eating even more. So what happens to those folks who work at fast food? What happens to those folks who work in retail that's getting replaced with jobs? So now we got to start pivoting and positioning yourselves to, one, figure out how AI can work for you, or you can work to sustain AI. And you said cybersecurity. I'm also thinking maybe authenticity, authenticating or cyber authenticity, because the issue
Facebook kind of got that on lock. Facebook and Google.
The AI thing is replicating your voice, is replicating your thoughts, is replicating you as a likeness.
Right.
So how can we distinguish the difference between AI and the authentic you?
Right.
So now there has to be a gap. There's a link that's there that we have yet to identify that maybe tells the difference between the computer and real life. And I think that key right there should be the focus of everyone to try to keep their position, man.
I believe it was Nikola Tesla. He said that if you want to understand the universe, think in terms of like sound, vibrations, and frequency, right? It was something to that nature, right? So I wonder if the key to it lies within there.
Could be.
And I think it would be on a team of physicists to analyze the vibrations of an individual voice versus a computer, and find out where the consistencies and the inconsistencies are. Because one thing I've noticed is that when God put a paintbrush on there, right, that natural DNA that we can't mimic that. It always comes out on top.
Always.
Right?
Always.
It always is differentiated.
Always.
Right? There is indeed a universal code of consistency. And I think that might be the key to figuring out to differentiate, because although artificial intelligence might be able to process really well, we got to accept the fact that really all it's doing is individual transactions really fast. It's not intelligence. And it's logical deduction.
And the key word in that is artificial.
Right. But because they don't have the ability to create, all they can do is duplicate.
Right. It's artificial. Right. It's just a duplication.
They only do what they're programmed to do. Right.
Yeah. So let's figure that out, family. Let's just start figuring that part out, man. And we want to create the narrative of being proactive against that, man, because it's coming.
Shout out to Nasir Leach.
Young boy, what's up, Nasir?
Yep.
Doing your thing, big dog. Keep on pushing, man. Great job running the campaign, man.
Absolutely.
And I talked to him this morning. He said he's only 24. Lord mercy, 24?
Young people moving, man.
Dog, I was 24 in 2003.
2003?
Shit.
I was 24 in 2010.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
81, 2000. No, 2000. Yeah, 2004. No, I can't get the math.
He was born in 81.
81, 05. There we go. All these master's degrees, bro. We can't even get this math right.
Right. And I do math. But I really could count. I just was guessing.
I can too. I was guessing. Yeah, I can really count. I can really count, man. I can really count. Man. But speaking of young boys, right? What about this young boy Ja Morant, man? What's up? What's up with him, man? What's up with him wanting to, chitty chitty bang bang?
Right.
He want to be out here. What is his narrative that he's trying to create?
Right.
And what should we do to give him a new perspective, or at least provide the community or the public a new perspective?
We'll need some guidance, man. I shared a video that Dr. Mark Lamont Hill spoke about on him, and I agree with it. It gives my sentiments 100%.
What was he saying?
So the long and the short of it is, he said, is Ja Morant an idiot for what he's doing? Absolutely. Absolutely, he's an idiot. It's dumb. Why are you doing this? It's pointless, right? But Howard, like, suspending him for 50 games, that's wild.
That is
right.
Because
he said, assuming the gun is legal, which I think we can assume that. How is he suspended? Because he waved his legal gun on somebody else's social media?
Facts.
And how are we criminalizing that? Ooh. And why are we supporting that?
See?
This is just another scenario.
This is another narrative that they're painting when it comes down to our gun enthusiasm and theirs. Right.
Because it's his gun. He didn't commit a crime.
No.
And he didn't even post it, so we can't even say that was
intentionally trying to, manipulate, trying
to push a motive
or trying to threaten someone.
Right? None of that.
Yeah, you're right. So,
and then I think he said, "Now, do we need to pick better friends?" Arguably.
Yeah, I say that because I'm kind of the friend that don't like when your homie go live all the time. I'm
that friend too.
I'm
and if your friends don't respect that, it could be argued that they should be better friends.
Listen,
but what if that's the only downside of them? Like, yo, this is the most loyal,
so kindest. We gotta figure that part out. Like, yo, bro, come on. Like, we'll take the homie pic. All right, post the homie pic, then put the phone down, bro.
Right,
come on.
Exactly.
Everything ain't gotta be recorded. Everything gotta be recorded, man. You know what I'm saying?
I just wish he had some guidance.
Yeah, man. So, but here's my thought on this one, right? And I think the same. What's that? Yes, see, that's what I was going to bring up. That's exactly my thought, right?
Former NBA All-Star.
Chris Kaman poses with multiple guns. So why is it that their narrative is different when they're gun enthusiasts posting their AKs and their rifles, but soon as it's us of color, all of a sudden, oh, yo, you dumb, bro. Oh, damn, you can't be holding your guns like that. What is the difference between me having a shotgun with some mooses behind me and what's the black Rambo boy who loved all the guns? I don't know if you ever seen him. He goes out shooting all the time. He got tons of guns, but his narrative is painted differently because he's black.
Right.
And so now I jumped on like, yeah, Ja, you wrong for that. But then I sat back when I was hit with that picture, and I said, damn, bro, I know a lot of NBA players. I know a lot of politicians. I know a lot of CEOs. Matter of fact, I was in D.C. recently, and I was at this joint down in Capitol Hill, right? So we busted it up with one of these, big-time folks. And the first thing he said, yo, why don't you come to my house tomorrow morning and we go shoot some guns?
Right, for sure.
That's their
for
thing.
Sure, it is. And so I can't even, I got to say, I have to say this, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Liberals are going to be angry at me. I'm pro-guns. Right?
I'm not mad.
Because my thing about it is, this is my reality, right? Now, I'm not going to speak for nobody else, but in my reality, I've only seen the people who follow the law are law-abiding citizens. It's, to my knowledge, criminals been breaking the law forever. I'll give you a great example, right? I was born in 86.
Okay.
Cocaine was illegal in 86.
Yes, it was.
Cocaine is illegal in 2023.
That's right.
Cocaine is accessible in 2023.
Absolutely.
So when has making it illegal ever made the problem of accessibility go away?
It never has.
All you do is you disarm law-abiding citizens to be the victim without the gun to the criminals who don't follow the law that you set.
So
right.
So it's our community.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I say you want to stop kids from killing each other.
Right.
Get them to understand what a gun does.
Exactly.
Right. Training, teaching. Right.
So
and let them see that it's real.
And I agree.
And then
with
also
that.
understand the effects of it.
Yeah.
Let them talk to some families of people who lost someone. Right.
So again, I agree with that because in order to what we're doing to our children to try to prevent them from gun violence and gun stuff is we're still doing antiquated things, and we have to prepare them for the inevitable.
I agree with that.
And it's sad to say, but it happened to me when I was 6, bro.
Right.
That was 1988. Right? We're still talking about this in 2023.
Sure.
6 and 7-year-olds dying.
Right. And it's horrible.
So the way that we are approaching this is completely wrong.
Right. I agree.
Right? So
Right.
we have to expose, teach, and educate our children the
Spot
effects
on,
of
man.
guns
Spot
and how
on.
guns work,
Spot on.
so that they don't have that curiosity of saying,
Right.
"Oh, this is it." Like, because you can remember when that first person on the block had a gun, how everybody was drawn to him.
Right.
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 So now, when you take that mystery out of it, kind
Right.
of like when your parents gave you a drink and say, "Drink
Right.
with me before you go out to the joint," right?
Right.
Before you go to the bar,
I agree.
or come smoke with me before you go out and get smoked. Right. That saves a lot of things.
Right.
But my only pushback to you agreeing with guns, to me, my pushback is, I don't feel citizens in small or residential neighborhoods need high-powered weapons. Now, have all the guns you like,
Right.
but I don't think if I live in Marcus Hook,
Right.
I need a Tommy gun.
Right.
Because what am I doing with? I'm just saying Tommy because it's a high power. What do I need with that? You see what I'm saying? So
I do.
So
I do.
so
And
so
it-
that was
so
my
this
own.
agrees me, right? Because I agree with you, right? Because if you get rid of the high-powered weapons and make them not accessible, then mass shootings become significantly harder to pull off.
Absolutely.
Right? I agree with that.
Yeah.
Right? While simultaneously being convicted, because I understand that there are still people with high-powered weapons.
Absolutely.
And there are still going to be people with high-powered
Absolutely.
weapons.
They're going to find
And
them.
more importantly, right? Let's talk about it from a patriotic perspective, right?
man.
Our
That
founding
word
fathers,
gives me shivers,
right?
bro.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I'm looking at it from this perspective.
I got
You'll
you.
understand it when I say it.
I
right?
got you.
Our framers of the Constitution understood that a military that became more trained and larger than that can be overcome by the masses is dangerous and a clear path to tyranny.
Absolutely.
I'm going to say that again.
Absolutely.
A military that is so well trained and large enough to overcome the masses is a direct path and a danger of tyranny. So here's my thing. Andrew Nelson, Recruit Nelson, first day on Paris Island that I woke up and went through all of my issued gear. The next day, the first thing that I got issued was my
That's your
rifle,
rifle.
right? A high-powered rifle,
That's right.
a M16
right.
A2,
That's right.
right? So 5.56 round, right? 24 or 23 in the magazine, one in the chamber, right? It's a high-powered weapon.
Yeah.
Right? They come with feeds. On my 50 cal when I was a helicopter gunner,
Yikes.
the same deal, mounted in the window,
Just roll them in,
right?
bro.
Roll them in.
Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta.
That thing, you pull it. The ditty was die, motherfucker, die. You hold it down, let it go. Die, motherfucker, die. Hold it down, let it go. And I know it's vulgar, right? But this is the reality. And I say this to say that there are men and women being trained every day in the Marine Corps to utilize these high-powered weapons abroad. When they come home, their knowledge doesn't go away, nor does their accessibility go away.
Okay.
So if you criminalize high-powered guns, again, all it does is destabilize law-abiding citizens. So do I believe we have a gun problem? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do I believe that we need to do something to patch the holes in our gun problem? Also, absolutely. But it needs to be creative enough to where we're not putting ourselves at a disadvantage. Because if we lose our guns and thus our power to protect ourselves, then you can forget about property. It don't even matter. Forget about virtue. It don't matter. Because if you can't defend it, it's gone.
But here's my pushback on that, though.
All right.
As you just said, the very first day that you got into the Marine Corps or the armed services, they gave you a high-powered weapon and taught you how to be a machine.
Right.
Now, when these people decide to do a tyranny against us, or like let's say the military comes, what is Tyrone going to do who never been to the range to have a high-powered weapon?
Right, you right.
You see what I'm saying?
But it
What's
depends on
gonna
whether he's
happen-
trained by somebody who has
you know
been
what
to
I'm
the
saying?
range.
But what's going to happen when these Army folks, and no disrespect to your experience, but you've been off the block for a minute as far as the Army goes, right? So there's more training. So what's going to happen when, when the Army decides to bring out Army guns, the drones? So I understand like the need to protect ourselves in the patriotic thing against a revolution of the government, right? That's one end, and that's what saying. And then this end says, how the hell am I going to protect myself from a government who use drones, 50 cals, in jets. When they do it, my little pew pew ain't, feel like Harlem Nights.
Respect.
Pop, pop. It's not gonna happen. So
Respect.
so
that's why criminalizing high power weapons, because if I have a high power weapon, then what can I do against not Tyrone, but let's say Marcus, right? Private first class Marcus, who's ascending on my neighborhood now, right? Because we in a situation of tyranny.
Yeah.
And I got a high powered weapon.
Because I want to fight back. I do want to fight back.
I say to you with absolute certainty, I've been off the block for about 7 years.
Yeah.
But Rangers didn't stop in the Marine Corps.
True that.
Right?
True that.
And the skills continue to be honed.
True that.
I train.
True that.
Right?
And I agree with you with that. I agree with you that. And I want to fight back, and I want to give everybody the opportunity to fight back.
And I also want to teach a lot of people, as many people as I can, the skill to do so.
But see, the thing is that really been stopping any type of sensible legislation is this mythical tyranny that's going to happen that hasn't happened since the 1700s.
That's fair.
So,
but is it not happening right now as we speak? Are we not really seeing the encroachment
not against the government, right?
Well,
we need that against the supremacy, right? We need that against those folks that's gearing up and in rural Pennsylvania or rural wherever they are, rural America, who's creating militias to combat against urban or ethnic groups, right? So it may not necessarily be
well-funded militias.
Well funded, because when you start talking about the wealth gap, I mean they funded themselves. But
and if you take a passive role in combating white supremacists as a government, I'm gonna say that again. If you take a passive role,
as they've been doing,
right, in investigating and suppressing white supremacy as a government,
as they've been doing,
could we not argue that this is the pattern of the same state-sanctioned violence that we've witnessed, that destroyed Reconstruction, that built and maintained Jim Crow?
Oof.
Right?
I ain't disagreeing with you.
So
the January 6th is a prime example of government working with militias.
Right.
You are absolutely
right.
Rehearsal.
Things that they do to us black people would never go to Washington. Why? They gonna shoot you.
On site.
Right.
They were able to go in there and shoot people inside.
On site. Dog, and I tell this story all the time. When I was working for Congress, I was down there January 3rd. I had to go to work, right? I got out of the Uber. Capitol Police stopped me in the Uber, said, yo, what are you doing here? I showed them my federal ID, said I'm going to work. They looked at it and said, well, there's a lot of things going on. I don't know if you're allowed to in. I got to work, right? So they were doing that to us.
Right.
So again, with the government being in cahoots with and militias, I completely and wholeheartedly agree with you. So I'm not going to go against that.
I don't know if they're in cahoots. I don't want to go that far.
Some of them. Well.
But what I will
January
say
6th
is,
said there were some.
What I will say is, filibuster, right? I think that's the term, right? It wasn't always an act that happened in legislation, right? It used to be the process of a militia conquering land in a destable area to move the United States frontier forward, right? And they were incentivized through legislation that would reimburse the filibuster for all the costs, plus buy the land that they conquered for a profit for the person who did it.
But you know what, bro? I'm going to say cahoots. You know why? Because there were members of Congress giving tours, letting people in. I was asked, are you coming back to work on this week? I said, why? They said, oh, no, because they're giving us the day off. I don't know. Listen, if I disappear tonight, y'all know what happened.
I don't
But listen,
bro.
That's the truth. And I know that to be certain. And the reason why is I can show you my darn, and I know this is another topic for another day, but I can show you my vaccination card. I know some people don't even mess with that, but I still got it. What that date say at the very top?
January 3rd.
2021. You can't. I'm not making this shit up. I'm not. So yeah, in cahoots, because if you my man
That's
and
fair.
you wanted to start a revolution or you wanted to figure something out, and I'm Congressman ABCD, wouldn't I have the access to let you get it?
Right. Especially if I made a sizable campaign contribution.
Boom.
Because I'm playing chess, not checkers.
Boom. Boom.
Right.
So we went off on a tangent about the government joint.
We did. But that's why I'm nervous about any legislation that takes guns away.
I don't want to take your guns away, but I just don't think we need AKs. That's me personally.
I respect
That's
that.
just me personally. You can have your
respect that.
shotgun, you can have your 40 cal, you can have your Desert Eagle, you can have all that, and you can be a gun enthusiast, and you're fine. But we need to stop looking at black gun enthusiasts different from white gun enthusiasts.
Facts.
Now, if Ja's a gun
We need to
enthusiast,
stop looking at black people different from
exactly,
because we're all people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not going to give him. I'm not trying to find a scapegoat for him, right?
Right.
You know, you work for somewhere, and if they put the rules in for your conditions of employment, and you sign that contract, you are obligated to oblige by that contract.
Understood.
Whether it's good, bad, up or down, you signed it, right? And to understand that this is now your narrative for your conditions to work.
Right.
You should not be making the same mistake when you're looking at $200+ million on the table.
Right. Right.
Right?
But the part that's messing is he really like? I mean, where did he grow up at?
He grew up like
because from what I understood is Clarence lived at home with both
exactly,
parents.
with both parents.
And Clarence's parents had a real good marriage. Like that's what I'm like. So
Exactly.
So why? That's where I think he's a fool. Because why are you trying to perpetrate and put a show on to be something that you're not?
Because
right? Because you're not. That's not you. Be you.
We are dying to be in that position of making it, right? And he is the epitome of made it.
Right.
You used your talent to get to a level, superstardom, to the top level of your craft, and to the point where you have a guaranteed contract. That means that money is supposed to be yours. But you wanna live a lifestyle that's contradictory. Like, we be thugs because we can't get our way out.
Right, it's a survival mechanism.
A survival mechanism, right?
Not a choice. I was just having this conversation, man,
We
because
talked
we
about
always
that
blame
last
people.
time.
Yeah.
Why we always got to go back to where we escaped from, right?
Right.
To get the validation. So we need the hood blue check. Is that what it is?
That's exactly what it is.
I don't need the hood blue check.
Right.
I don't need the hood blue check.
But the only reason they need it is because it's been glorified in hip hop for so long, and now it's like almost as if like if you grew up whole and in a good neighborhood, now you almost feel embarrassed because you like, oh no, I want to be part of the struggle too. But it's kind of messing me up because why you want to struggle so bad?
Why we want to struggle? We fight so hard to get out the struggle. You know how hard it is to make it to the NBA, bro? You know how hard it is? So why are we trying to apply for the hood blue check? You know what I'm saying? What we got on the screen?
She said we don't need automatic weapons in our community. I agree with that 100%. We certainly don't need that.
Malcolm,
Miss Lynn, she said we need to talk. She mad at me about my position on guns. I'm sorry, Miss Lynn. I love you.
You know, and even with that, for me to be a gun violence victim, I still have guns. You know, and gotta protect it. So, so I understand it, man. I really do, and I see both sides of the coins. But I don't agree with removing weapons. And again, I don't agree with calling Ja a fool for his love of weapons. I just call him a fool for not protecting his bag.
Right.
You know, and
I only call him a fool because when you getting pushed down, like why you making little. Like, why you shooting at people in the air? That's right, man.
We riding in the car, we listening to music. Why I gotta pull my gun out?
Right.
Like what?
Because you trying to perpetrate a fraud.
It's just it's kind of like the boys that got the money stacks with the big money stacks on their joint and they be holding it. You got money, bro. We know that. What you using it for? What is all that for? So yeah, man. It's hope the young man gets his life together. He's an exceptional talent. He could be the next face of he was the next face of the NBA. But he still can be. But guess what? The powers that be.
We are.
Black people are the cancel culture.
Right.
If we don't stick with our black people,
Right.
and they'll come off.
Right.
That's right.
So we not with them. You know the white
Right.
Because they say,
That's correct.
if they say they don't like him, then it's cool.
Right.
people, we go off what they say. And then we kill them
Right.
all the way. You know what I'm saying? No, we embrace our brothers when they mess up.
Right. I agree with that. I don't think he should be suspended or canceled.
I don't
I
think
agree with that.
I
think
agree.
somebody should sit down with him and be like, bro, stop trying to act like you a thug. Like you're not getting nothing out of it. Right. Right.
Let me take you somewhere.
Right.
And pull up on D block.
Right.
You feel me? Go ahead out there. Go
Right.
hang out for a
He just
couple
needs some guidance.
The problem
Where
with
is Daddy Ja at?
he right there, but I don't.
That is Daddy job. He got the money.
Oh, right. Yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. Dad
you
can't
right.
say
You
nothing
right.
because Dad
You
eating
right.
off of him.
Right.
My son made $200 million. He would still be my son. Nigga, sit your ass.
And I think that's where
for sure.
I think that's where it's getting lost at because now he can't say nothing. Who can tell him something? Who can tell Ja something?
Right, and you know what? We shouldn't assume that his dad didn't say nothing because his dad could have said something.
Because his dad looked like a thorough bull that
he could have very well said
that
something.
does
and
what he's
Ja
supposed to do.
Ja could have been like, "Look, I hear you, Dad."
But I'm still doing this anyway.
Do you think his dad would allow him to hang out with the jokers that he's been hanging out with? Because it's not the first situation.
But listen, when you 23 with 200 million,
It's not
and
much.
your
That's what I'm
dad
saying.
back
It's
at your
not- it's not
hometown, what
much.
can his dad do?
It's not much I can do.
Right,
You ain't hanging out with these niggas?
right.
Yeah, but it's
Right.
hard.
We trying to get more money.
Yeah.
This ain't enough.
I respect that, and I think that that's what he needs. I think he needed a little bit of aggression from his pops.
Sister calling him every time something. No,
Right.
But guess what?
But
man?
if he's smart, then security ain't letting pops through.
yeah, exactly. So
Right, so we don't know what the real scenario is. We just
all
don't know.
we all been there when we was like we just gonna do what we want to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? We all
Especially
been
if,
there.
like, for real, for real.
that you bought. This
No, I respect that.
You know.
for me, you wouldn't be here.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
I respect that.
No,
But then, then
guess
I'll be
what?
like, all right, look, I'm
This
gonna go.
house,
I'm gonna go to my house. I'm gonna go buy me a house.
I bought you 10 of them.
Right.
And I could buy you 10 more. Now you eating off me, Dad. I'm the cash cow, so you sit down. You know what I'm saying? So
I
then-
respect what you're saying,
No,
and that would be
I'm
my
not
energy.
disagreeing with you.
I
I'm not
just don't know
disagreeing
if it's gonna work.
Yeah, I just-
right?
yeah, I don't know.
Because 200 million is fuck you money.
to a lot of people.
It's a lot of bread.
You saying 200 million is fuck you money. So what you're saying is fuck your family.
I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that at all. That's not what I'm saying.
What he's saying
I'm
is that-
saying that he could very well take that approach with that much money.
I hear you, pops, but as soon as you leave me,
Right. I'm gonna do what I want. Like, I'm not gonna disrespect you for your face, to your face, right? You still my pops, right? But then now I know next time when I leave the house, I'm going without you, right? Like, you're not gonna be near me. And that's if I wanted to go that route. But I don't, right? Because I have guns. Go look on my social media. You won't see none of them, right? Because I don't support that madness. And even my kids know I got a gun for protection. That's all it's about,
it.
right? It ain't about moving it and waving it and all of that. I think that's retarded.
Nope.
Right?
And I got once. I was a 235 PA agent, right? I was one of those bulls that was, with the whole black on and had the guns, and I did all that, right?
Right.
And my gun was for protection and for my job.
Right.
And I only had to actually pull it out once.
Right.
And that was one of the worst days of work, right? So who you don't necessarily, if you know the ramifications of guns, you know the consequences of one, you're not out here trying to use it.
I
right?
agree with that.
And,
I definitely agree with
and
that.
that's where we know that those who sit around thinking it's cool don't know the real effects of it, right? And we need to teach that.
Right.
We really do, because people know. Some like people don't know our own guns. Like, people don't know that. And that's not something I put out there. But only how, if you do know, is because I used to be a private security officer. So that's the only reason why you possibly would know that. But it's no pride in telling you that I got a whole arsenal, or I got a this, that, and the third, or a Smith. Or, I'm cool.
Right.
I'm cool.
I gotta make a correction. I did say one thing that's untrue.
What's that?
On my social media, on my Facebook, there is a picture of me in the Marine Corps.
Oh, you see?
On the range.
Legally.
On the range, right. 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 None of that. None of that.
That's the lifestyle. You gotta
Right.
understand the culture has shifted.
Right.
Where the thugs and the money makers are hanging out together. You follow behind the rappers.
That's right.
You're trying to be cool.
That's right.
But the rappers don't live.
They sure don't.
You trying to live.
They not living that life.
And
Right.
the rappers trying to be where you at,
And you trying to be where they at.
and you trying to be where they at.
Right.
We rap about getting NBA money. Not NBA players want to be about rappers. Come on, dog. Like,
But that kind of been happening.
It always
Shaq
been
and Kobe.
happening.
Shaq
always
and Kobe
been
been trying to rap.
well, Shaq was all right. I was listening to a Kobe verse the other day, man. That John was halfway trash. Rest in peace, bro. I'm sorry.
Rest in peace. But it was a little more than halfway.
Yeah, that John was
Right. It
terrible.
might have been
That
like
John was terrible.
75% trash.
It was the Brian McKnight John. He was like a crossover and getting the Bova. Like, I was like, Kobe, I mean, you phenomenal at basketball, but
Stick to that.
yeah, stick to
Right.
that, bro. Yeah, stick to that. Even the Allen Iverson verse, Remember that song Allen Iverson? Jewels, that was his name. I don't know if you remember that. He got banned
So
for
I don't
releasing
remember
that album. That one song he had, he got like suspended for releasing. I think it was called 47 Bars or something like that. Y'all never heard of him?
Nah, I'm gonna listen to it in the car though.
Yo, pull up Jewels.
So, cause you got when AI was at that phase, I was in middle school.
Oh, see, yeah,
Right, so I didn't have that same access.
that was 01.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
All right, so that 01, I was in 9th grade.
Oh,
Right, right.
You said 01, you was in 9th grade.
Yeah.
Yo, 01, I was 20.
9th going into 10th grade.
Oh,
Yeah. I
yo,
graduated.
I was in them
I
Philadelphia
graduated high
streets,
school
bro.
in 04.
I was sitting there at Houlihan, seeing them across the street from TGI Fridays. I was there, like living that.
Depending on what month in 01, I ain't even get my growth spurt yet. So I was somewhere around like 5'4" and 5.
Yo, we was out there at
Right.
Uno's and Fridays and South Street. Yeah,
Right.
I was living the best life at that time. But yeah, he dropped that album, man. And they got upset with him and suspended him for that, y'all. So yeah, look up Allen Iverson, Jewels.
I'm gonna do it as soon as we get in the car.
He holding all the ice back in 01. So
Right.
you know, and listen to it. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good.
And my brother Low, he got funds to low now.
Yeah. Yeah. He's that boy.
Close though, bro.
So we wrapping up.
Yeah, we got to wrap up. We had a good conversation.
It was
Congratulations again to all of the candidates.
Congratulations to you all.
Look out for that political strategy class.
Yeah, man. You know, the narrative political strategy class or something like that. We gonna put it together.
Right.
But we want everybody at the table, and we want to be able to put something together so that we know how to properly move the city forward.
Absolutely.
Man. You know, we can't do it without all voices and
we need as many people to support this and come out as possible.
That's right.
The more people on the same page, the better.
Yeah, it's your voice, man. We need you.
We're going to need some talent coming home. So a reminder with that. And we got to stop fighting, family.
That's right.
We got to work together. We got to get on one page.
That's right. That's right, man. That's right.
And it's going to start at home, and then we'll be able to move out and spread forward.
That's right.
It's been another good
That's
week.
right.
We're going to look
good
forward
week.
to y'all again.
I'm looking forward to what's next out here in the city, man. Let's look at this transition team. Let's look at what we need to identify, and I'm just excited, man. So as we come to a close, man, my name is Malcolm Yates.
My name is Andrew Nelson.
And we are The Narrative.
Yes, indeed.
This is my heritage, all I'm inheriting. Money and power, the